Hello everyone, welcome back to PÖFF TV Studio. I'm Amin and we are right here in Tallinn, Estonia, right in the heart of the Black Nights Film Festival. Today we have another journey, another film and another director with us. So we're gonna go throughout and check out the film Robin and the Hoods, and the director gonna help us to see what was happening over there. So let's welcome to Phil Hawkins, the director of the Robin and the Hoods.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm good, how are you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you.
How's Estonia?
Lovely. Yeah. Landed yesterday, had a good wander around the old town to kind of set myself into the town, and now ready for the festival.
Yeah, we're festival and interview.
Yeah.
All right, so let's start without wasting any second. All right, first of all, I would like to ask in a way that, so your film basically, the main audience and the goal audience for your film is children, right?
Yeah, I would say it's a family film. I think it's something for everybody.
Family.
Yeah, I think there is a common misconception, or I think there's a big difference between kids' films and family film. Me as a parent, and I like to make films that appeal to the adults and the kids. So hopefully there's something for everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, since you actually mentioned that you're yourself as a parent, you're here. This was the last question, but I want to bring it at the first, and then ask this question. That okay. So, how parents basically can give this possibility, and this gives sort of a space to the children that they can make decisions themselves and they can develop themselves. How you think about it? Like how parent can do it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the subtext of the film, really. It's about these kids that, or anyone in society that feels like they're underrepresented, or maybe they're the smallest voice in the room, is that actually sometimes they can talk the most sense. And sometimes there's a wonderful inspirational quality to kind of naivety to the world. Like there's a pure form of standing up for what's right, and that's what the kids in this film do. And as a parent and as a filmmaker, it's lovely to give kids the agency, to give kids the stage in a film like this, to really show, how they feel, what they want to stand up for, and therefore their voice can be heard against the kind of noise of, we can get jaded as adults, can't we? And sometimes saying nothing is sometimes the becomes the default response. But hopefully, kids and parents and people watching the film can see this as a way of projecting that inner voice we have to stand up for what's right.
All right. So since we have started it personal, let's make it a bit personal and half of it relatable to the film that you have brought to the festival. Okay. So you have some sort of children characters, and I would like to ask that: did you basically add any sort of your childhood into the characters that they are in the film, or any sort of line, any sort of type of personality did you add to those characters from your childhood, or no?
I guess so. In casting, I mean, with working with kids and casting a young performance is leading a film. It's all about the casting. So in the casting, I look for kids and young actors that I like and that I get on with. I feel like I'm a big kid myself. I think maybe that's key to the success of directing young people, is trying to sort of access their mindset in a way. I think probably maybe subconsciously I cast the kids I would love to hang out with. I very much felt like an underdog growing up, still do. And that's what these gang of characters are. They're kind of the underdogs of this place.
Good.
And I guess directorially, both as a former child, as we all are, and a parent, is that the film is a celebration of imagination. It's almost like a film that's two films in one, because we kind of travel to like the sort of medieval times. Their kind of their imagination comes to life, where their bikes become horses and their sticks become swords. And for me, it was really important to fully commit to that world. So because as kids, we always remember either going to the woods and a fort becoming a castle, or, a cardboard box becoming a rocket ship, and we fully commit to that imagination. So I really wanted to make a film that didn't make light of that really celebrated the power of that.
Brilliant. You have brought the imagination, this sort of topic. I was about to ask that, so that's wonderful that you brought it out. So let's go with the
I see all your questions.
Yeah. Cheater. All right. So the question which I was about to ask about the imagination is about the film, basically. The main theme of the film is that, so basically it goes back and forth to the imagination and the reality and back and forth, and these transitions are continuously are in the film. So I want to ask you that how was challenging and how was the process of making this back and forth, going and back, and these transitions smooth?
Well, as anything in film, the things that seem the simplest are the things that, take the most work. I really, I'm very inspired by, movies from the 80s, films like, The Goonies and films of Spielberg. So I was trying to think about what was the kind of the lo-fi way of doing this. What was kind of the low-tech way of transitioning us between worlds so they feel seamless? So actually a lot of the tricks we do in the film are very simple. They're wipes, they're match cuts, they're things that are done sort of in camera in the editing process. And then there's a lot of thought that goes into when to use those transitions and why. So from a technical perspective, we used 2 different lens sets for the 2 worlds. So animation was shot on anamorphic lenses and reality was shot on spherical lenses to give a sense of quality difference to the audience. And then also, we didn't just film the movie twice, right? And then just decide later. That, to me, wouldn't be directing the movie. It was really about looking at this wonderful script and choosing those moments where it should transition. And sometimes that can happen 2 or 3 times within one scene. So you can imagine the preparation and the sort of logistics that go into shooting a scene, parts of a scene in reality and parts of a scene like full fantasy costume in a different set with a different lighting and everything like this, and trying to make that seamless. That's the stuff that kept me awake at night. Leading up to filming. Yeah.
But I would like to add this is that in my idea, the design of the set also was one of the important things that give this vibe, and this it helped to make the rhythm smoother and make this transition smoother. So let's talk about that a bit. That how was the set designing and how you got inspired, how you got the idea of doing it, like from the beginning to the end, and from the idea to actually make it, like give it existence to that idea. How was it?
Yeah, so our biggest set was probably one that we call the Kingdom, which is this kind of beautiful treehouse, rope bridges. And our production designer, like me, was just a big kid and said, let's make the biggest, most exciting place where kids and adults would look at that thing and go, I want to play on that, I want to walk on that. And when it was built, even the crew loved going on those rope bridges. And it's a real set. There's no CGI. I really wanted to give it a very grounded feel, because if we're asking the audience to make a leap of faith in terms of the imagination to reality, I really didn't want visual effects to get in the way of that. So it was very much in a real forest in the UK, mostly blessed with nice weather, filming it. Which is a real challenge, and I think the genius of the design actually is something that could be considered boring, which is health and safety. Because any filmmaker knows, like, as soon as you put an actor, standing on a chair, it becomes a stunt, right? And I'm trying to do this with 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old kids. So these rope bridges that feel high are not as high as they seem, and also all the health and safety measures that meant they didn't have to wear wires being up there were kind of put into the set itself. So not only is it a beautiful set to film, a lot of thought has gone into being able to give the kids the freedom of movement, so the performances feel authentic and they don't feel stilted and staged. And in that way, they felt free, and that was really important to me in terms of in directing the performances too.
Wonderful. Okay, so the other question which I would like to ask you is the challenges that I have faced in this path. in the way of making the movie from the idea to giving existence to that idea. So how was those? How it goes?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that people, the cliche of never worked with kids and animals, and I would say people that say that are missing out on all the fun. Because yes, it is challenging working with young people because of the hours. You only have a restricted amount of hours you can work with them. You can't do night shoots, for example, and that can get tricky when you're trying to logistically make a film that doesn't have a huge studio budget, and you're trying to get it done, a film like this, in kind of 6 weeks. That's got battle sequences and all this stuff. It's a lot. It's an ambitious project. So in terms of the big challenge was finding the right kids and casting the right kids, so that therefore it didn't take many takes for them to be themselves, which is what I was kind of looking for, really, is to bring themselves to the film. And just going back to that thing about, never work with kids and animals, I think that people who say that maybe think because they want a sense of control, or they feel like they have to control kids. It's like, well, you wouldn't control. I had Naomi Harris, Oscar-nominated actress in the movie. I wouldn't control her performance. So why would I control a performance of a young person if it's cast well? So it's about putting a lot of thought into prep and to try and tackle those challenges before we got to shooting, so that when eventually challenges do happen, you're hopefully prepared, going in. So, there's many challenges with any film. This was a particularly ambitious one for the scale that I was trying to pull off. And there's never enough time. There's never enough money. But, I'm very proud of the film. And I think we pulled off something that can hopefully speak to everybody.
Yeah, I agree actually with that. I was just watching around the trailers and all of those shots that are out of the film. Wonderful, great job.
Thank you.
By these sort of challenges that you have explained, it is great job. Wonderful.
Thank you.
And one more question before we get the interview done is that if you would have this possibility to go back in time, what would be the scene that you would like to add or remove from the film, or you wouldn't even touch it?
No film is perfect. Everyone wants to change and tweak and do the stuff, but there isn't really anything major I would change. And funnily enough, maybe speaking to the previous question, was weather's always a big challenge, and the Robin, played by Darcy Ewart in the film, the lead character, she has this amazing speech in the film that kind of speaks thematically to what we were talking about earlier. A really important moment in the film, real turning point in the film. And originally I staged that outside, and we had a big marketplace set and extras and all this stuff, and thought it was going to be that kind of scene with this beautiful building behind. And it rained, like torrential rain. Like absolutely, like no way we could film it, and there's no way we could push it, no way we could move it. So I ended up restaging on the steps in this town hall. And now when you see the film, it's probably better for it than being outside. And so that's one of those things that maybe on the day I thought, oh my God, I wish I'd had it outside, I had it all planned. And then you see it in the film, you think, actually, I was dealt a nice hand there. There was some higher power gave me that gift, and I embraced it. And I think it's one of my favorite scenes in the movie. So adversity can create creativity if you have an open mind.
So you wouldn't even touch it?
No, I wouldn't touch it.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you so much for coming. It was wonderful. We haven't covered so much, and great job to you and your team.
Thank you.
And thank you.
No worries. Thanks for having us.
Once again, thank you so much for watching us. Keep in mind that you gotta check our social media. There's so many contents over there. Check them out. And I would like you to see our contents about the films, about the movie makers, and all of the stuff that's happening in the PÖFF. Thank you so much once again, and till another interview. Peace out.